The words from Lorraine, the department head, cut deep. "I'm utterly disappointed in you." Her voice was cold, echoing in my ears as I packed up my desk. I could feel her icy gaze on me, along with the sneers from my coworkers. Just a short while ago, I was a promising new graduate with a bright future. Now I was leaving in disgrace, all thanks to Lorraine's scheming. Lorraine, who orchestrated my downfall, smiled maliciously. "I heard your wife dumped you. She served you divorce papers the day after your assignment, didn't she?" How pitiful, her mocking laughter stung. I glared at her briefly before lifting the cardboard box with my belongings. My wife had left, taking everything, our furniture, our savings, leaving only the divorce papers behind. It was as if my failure as a husband was written in bold letters. My transfer to a remote backwater was a direct result of Lorraine's harassment. Though she constantly belittled me, I never expected to be blamed for her mistakes. And yet, here I was, shipped off to a branch office in the countryside, my life unraveling as I packed up. Jordan, a colleague, approached. "I'm going to miss you around here." "Well, there's nothing I can do. I'm no longer needed here," I replied with a resigned sigh. "Maybe there's something for you in the new place." "Take care," Jordan said, offering a supportive smile. With a final glance at the office that had once held so much promise, I left, belongings in tow. Soon after, I moved to the rural town where I had been reassigned. On my first day at the branch office, I was welcomed with open arms. They even threw a small welcome party in the meeting room, a stark contrast to the cold treatment at headquarters. Great to have a young guy join us right at the start of the year. One of the employees cheered, raising a glass. I quickly noticed that most of the staff were older, struggling with modern technology. "Man, we barely managed to use Word like a typewriter," one of them joked. "Do you even know what a typewriter is?" Yes, I do," I chuckled. "Good. Maybe you can show us how to use these new fonts, take photos, send emails, and even figure out apps." They laughed, clearly in need of help with technology. As we chatted over drinks, I realized just how different this place was. Most of the employees were retired and rehired to keep the branch running. "It's nice to be employed at our age, but we're not tech savvy," one of them admitted. "We're having trouble with computers, and there's no one to teach us." "That's right, we can't even use Excel. We still do everything with pen and paper, so it takes forever. We can't find anyone with computer skills, even for a part-time job." I wondered if I could really make it in a place like this, but I had no choice. The next day, I began teaching computer basics to the senior staff. I prepared meticulously formatted manuals on a 4-paper, hoping to make the lessons as clear as possible. The elderly staff were forgetful but eager to learn, taking notes as they followed along. The outdated computers were a challenge, but I negotiated with headquarters to arrange newer models through a rental service. No more excuses for not being able to do office work because of Excel issues, I thought. Curious, I asked my colleague Henry, who was handling the office work before I got here since no one knew how to use Excel. "It was Emma," he replied. "She's the daughter of Max, who lives nearby. She got a job in the city after graduating from college." Emma had once worked for the company where I was now stationed, but the company she moved to after college went bankrupt due to the recession. Unable to find another job, she returned home and worked here as an office clerk. However, she had to quit because of family issues. When I asked what had happened, Henry simply said, "Well, with what happened, it couldn't be helped." But when I pressed for more details, he brushed it off, saying, "It's nothing," before returning to his desk. I couldn't help but wonder why she had quit when there were so few job opportunities in this town. What could have happened? I found myself thinking about Emma often, curious about the story behind her departure. One weekend, the weather suddenly changed. What had started as a sunny day quickly turned into a downpour. I was standing by the window, contemplating the sudden storm when the doorbell rang urgently. I rushed to the door, and there stood a woman, drenched from head to toe. "Hi, what happened? You're soaking wet." "What's going on?" I asked, concerned. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, shivering slightly. "My father has gone missing. Have you seen an elderly man in his pajamas around here?" "No, I haven't seen anyone," I replied. Her face fell, and she looked down, clearly distressed. I handed her a towel and asked, "Your father is missing?" She nodded silently. "Have you contacted the police?" I asked. "Yes, they're searching for him now," she said. As if on cue, the public address system announced the details of a missing person. The missing person is Max, 58 years old, of medium build. "Wait, Max, are you Emma?" I asked, surprised. "Yes, that's me," she replied, confirming my suspicion. This was the same Emma that Henry had mentioned, the former employee at our company. I explained that I worked at the company where she used to be employed, and she seemed a bit relieved. She began to open up, sharing the difficult circumstances that led to her quitting. Emma's father had developed dementia, requiring constant care, which she had taken on herself. She had been managing, barely with government support and her savings, but it was becoming increasingly difficult as her father's condition worsened. Lately, he's been wandering off more frequently, and I just can't handle it on my own anymore," she admitted, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "I've talked to his care manager about placing him in a care facility, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do. I feel guilty, especially after all he did for me, supporting me through college. Maybe I should just keep taking care of him myself." Tears welled up in her eyes. It was clear she had been struggling with this decision for a long time. "I see. That must be really tough," I said softly. "Thank you for sharing this with me." "Oh, I should go now," she said, attempting to gather herself. "Are you going to continue looking for your father on your own?" I asked. "Yes, I can't keep bothering others with this," she replied, though she was visibly exhausted. "You should change out of those wet clothes, even if it's warm outside," I suggested. Her face flushed with embarrassment as she hugged herself tightly. Just then, the emergency broadcast resumed, announcing that Max had been found safe. "They found my father," she exclaimed, relief flooding her expression. "That's great to hear," I said with a smile. "I'm so glad." "Thank you," she said, smiling through her exhaustion. I couldn't help but feel concerned for her, and before I knew it, I found myself offering my help. "If you like, I can come with you to pick up your father. I can bring my car right now." "Oh, that's too much." "We just met," she hesitated. "I'm an employee at the company you used to work for. I heard about you from others. Given the situation, let me help," I insisted. "Okay, thank you," she finally agreed, albeit reluctantly. We drove to the hospital to pick up Max, who was found with a bruised hip. He was scheduled for tests the next day and had been admitted as a precaution. I ended up driving them home, and during the ride, we talked. Emma was clearly anxious about her future, unable to work while also being responsible for her father's care. "I prefer to stay at home as much as possible," she said, sounding vulnerable. Hearing her story, I suggested, "It might be better to consider placing your father in a care facility sooner. What if something like today happens again and he's not found?" "That's true," she admitted. "But at least in a care facility, the risk of him wandering off would be significantly reduced," I suggested gently. "I know, I'll think about it." "Thank you for your advice," she replied, her voice laced with uncertainty. I might have been overstepping, but I felt something needed to be done for her before it was too late. Shortly thereafter, I proposed a new idea at the company, outsourcing some of our computer-based tasks to Emma. When I suggested this to her, she was hesitant. I'm anxious about balancing work from home and caregiving, but I'll give it a try. Having some income will make life a bit easier, she admitted. I agree. Do your best, I encouraged her. The company quickly approved the proposal, and Emma began assisting with our office work remotely. She also started searching for a care facility for her father, understanding that continuing caregiving without a stable job was financially challenging. Finding a safe place for him seemed necessary to prevent any more wandering incidents. I'll miss living with my father, but I've realized it's selfish of me to keep him at home, she said with a wistful smile. Sometime later, Emma secured a spot for her father in a facility located next to the town's hospital, providing the reassurance of immediate medical care if needed. She shared the news with me, smiling brighter than I'd seen her before. That's great news, I said, genuinely happy for her. By the way, your work has been highly praised at the company. Would you consider coming back to the office to work with us? There's no need for you to work from home anymore. Besides, teaching everyone about computers on my own is quite a task, I added with a laugh. Really? Is that okay? Emma asked, surprised by the offer. Yes, the company is keen on rehiring you. What do you think? I asked. Yes, I would love to accept that offer, she responded enthusiastically. No, thank you for joining our team again, I replied warmly. Emma was rehired and soon returned to our company. Looking forward to working with you again, Emma. We're so relieved to have you back. With a young presence like yours, the workplace will be livelier, said one of our colleagues as Emma was welcomed back. I'll do my best again, she promised, her sparkling smile lighting up the room. Seeing her excitement, I felt a flutter of happiness myself. Initially, I wasn't sure if I could make it in this rural town, but now I was starting to feel like I belonged. I suddenly remembered what my old colleague Jordan had said before I came here. There must be something for you to do. Yes, there must be something for me to do here, I thought, feeling a sense of destiny. I resolved to give my best in this town from now on.